Hello, dear Twain families and River Rafters. This is Mrs. Gonzalez, your principal. I know that many of you, like our staff and I, miss being together in person and attending our PTA family events. Luckily for us, our amazing Twain PTA continues to stay strong and plans educational family nights like today. Every month, we will have a combination of different topics, and we hope you can join us. So sit back, relax, and show us Zors by having an outstanding attitude, being respectful and safe during Zoom. Hola, querida familias de Mark Twain y Balseros del Río. Soy la directora Mrs. González. Sé que muchos de ustedes, como nuestro personal y yo, extrañamos estar juntos en persona y asistir a los eventos familiares de PTA. Afortunadamente para nosotros, nuestro increíble PTA de Twain sigue siendo fuerte y planea noches familiares educativas como hoy. Cada mes tendremos una combinación de diferentes temas y esperamos que puedan acompañarnos. Así que siéntense, relájense y muéstrenos Zors, teniendo una actitud excepcional, respetuosa y segura durante el Zoom. Gracias. Thank you.
You look after your family. And we've discovered that our family is huge. It's called the family of mankind. And we have to look after each other. And today, in this present age, First Nations in our healing from this disaster, the we all suffer from this impact of modernism and this new age of technology. It's so powerful. We're all caught up in something. But for First Nations, it happened so fast. For us, it's still fresh in our memories. But now that we've survived that and we've healed ourselves in this new age, that we've discovered that we have something very valuable to offer the world. And it's a simple message that our elders have taught us about caring and about how we interact with each other, respect. And from that comes responsibility. And that's one of the most important words in our language, Amayakela. And sometimes we forget what that means. It's not just about respect to each other, but respect of being and the total appreciation of every breath and giving our lives meaning and the fulfillment that we deserve. And every child deserves that, to be healthy and happy. And in our communities, that's what we strive for our children to be happy and healthy. And again, that's up to all of us.
Hi, everyone, and welcome. So glad you're able to join us this evening. This is our family night for November, and we are doing a series of family nights that allow us to, I'm controlling and presenting at the same time, that allow us to celebrate all the families in our Twain community. And we have a very diverse Twain community that we intend to celebrate throughout the school year with this series of family nights. This is our second one in November. It's a combination night, and I know for some it may seem odd to combine Military Family Months with our Native American Heritage Month, but we are intending to be very respectful for both of these communities and make sure that we present a night that honors both of those, despite maybe a perceived history of those two populations. So I wanted to just welcome you to the night, and I hope you enjoy what our PTA has brought together to you. And I hope you continue to join us on some family nights. We also have Dr. Hamilton, who's on screen now. She will be reading a book later and will be with us for Q&A. But for now, we're going to proceed with our program. So I wanted to talk about Tongva land. That's where we live. The Los Angeles area is home to the indigenous tribe or indigenous people known as the Tongva. And so I wanted to share a little video with you about that and how we're connected to them based on where we live in Lawndale.
Welcome to Tongva land. We see you. The electric fountain in Beverly Hills, with your majestic beauty kneeling in prayer. The mural of Toy Purina in Indian Alley. We hear you. The orchestra of water drops continues to send prayers from Codovona. The laughter of children and a community at Tongva Park in Santa Monica takes us back to a traditional village. We remember you. Your names are remembered when we see signs like Topanga, Tahunga, Cahuenga, Pacoima, Cucamonga, and Pavongna. Thank you, people of Tongva, for welcoming us to Yangna.
Yeah, so where are we? Where are we in Lawndale and where Mark Twain Elementary is, in Camino Village? 90260 is our zip code. So I wanted to sort of connect us to the Tongva people and see specifically what part of the land that we're on. And so I was able to find a map of native land that allows you to type in your zip code from anywhere, really actually in the world, I believe, and see what land you are actually on and what people may have originally been here. And so I wanted to take the time to do that. So on my screen, I've found this map and I'm going to type in our zip code 90260. You see Lawndale, California comes up and it zooms in specifically on Tongva land. And so what you'll see here, that should look familiar, that's Alondra Park. And here we are over here in this area where Mark Twain Elementary is. And so this map allows us to see anywhere again in the world where native land actually is. That's been tracked, and it allows us to know which land we stand on. There's different parts of California that had different native tribes. So if anyone is interested in seeing just some of the other areas and who actually inhabited those areas before we became the United States, you have the opportunity to do that. So our students here, a lot of our students at Mark Twain are a part of the local Cub Scout Pack 290, which is the pack in Lawndale. And those students, last year, you'll see a picture here on the screen, is at the end of our Veterans Day Assembly, where our Cub Scouts and our Girl Scouts participate in that assembly. And so we didn't have that this year, and we'll have a video that we'll share that was put together just to honor our veterans again. But we do have Scouts that are on are in our Twain community. And one of the packs, Pack 290, the then leader from that pack actually did a artifact presentation. The Cub Scouts in that pack do an artifact presentation around sort of the tribes that are in California. And Tongva happened to be one of them. And so I wanted to share something that we were able to get from that pack leader, some artifacts from the Tongva tribe that was shared among the Scouts.
The Tongva tribe is also known as the Gabrielinos. Tribal women made beautiful baskets, and these baskets were used for gathering and storing food. Acorns were one of the main sources of food for the Gabrielino tribe. The Gabrielino houses were called ki or kiish, and they were made from willow branches. This is an example of what the branches may have looked like. They also used tulle mats, so this is also an example of what that would have looked like. The Gabrielino Indians used plants, animals, shells, and stones from this area. Each tool was used for its strength, sharpness, or flexibility. If it was hard, strong, and fireproof, it was made into a cooking bowl. Stone was used in this way. Some stones and shells could be chipped into sharp points. These would be made into tools for making holes or an arrowhead. Wood could be carved into special shapes for handles, paddles, spoons, and throwing sticks. Sticks had many uses. This mat here is an example of either a tool mat that the Gabrielinos made, or it's made of yucca fiber, I'm not sure which. And then there is a rabbit fur, which the Gabrielinos may have used for robes or coats to keep warm. Here are some replicas of games or instruments that may have been used by the Gabrielinos or Tongva tribe. Notice that the instruments, shells were used as a type of shaker. And it looks like a flute, and then it was a type of a dice game that the Gabrielinos played in the back. Here are some examples of ropes that the Gabrielinos may have made, and then different types of jewelry that may have been made. Again, these are replicas. Notice that the jewelry has shells as decorations. This is a beautiful example of an abalone shell and something that the Gabrielinos also may have used. This black blob is some tar, which the Gabrielinos probably also encountered. This is an example of white sage, which was probably used during religious ceremonies.
Yes, so thank you for the Cub Scouts for providing that content for us. So many of our students, like I said, participate in the Scouts, which is all about, really a lot of it has to do with outdoors. And so very close to learning a lot of traditions and knowledge that Native Americans have provided. So the next thing, we do have a special guest, Mr. Almeida, who is our PE coach at Twain, had jumped in on our family night. And actually, he's going to share a little bit about with us about a native game.
Hello, students. Hello, parents. Mr. Almeida here, your PE teacher. So tonight, I want to talk about the exciting sport of lacrosse. So I have a short presentation I would like to share with you. It features a couple of videos. The first one is on the rules of lacrosse. So let's watch that together. Here we go.
The objective of the game is for your team to score more goals than the opposing team. To score a goal, a player must use his lacrosse stick and shoot the ball into the goal. The ball must completely cross the goal line, and the shooting player must not step into the crease for a goal to count. Goals are 6 feet wide and 6 feet high, and the goal crease is 18 feet in diameter. The field is 110 yards long by 60 yards wide, and the goals are located 15 yards in at each end of the field. The game starts with a face-off. Once a team has possession of the ball, they will try and move the ball towards the opposing goalie and try to score. You can pass the ball directly between teammates, pass along the ground to a teammate, or cradle the ball and run with it. The idea is to set up in good position to be able to shoot the ball towards the goal. The opposing team will try and stop you by blocking shots, body checking, or stick checking. They will try and take the ball away from you so that they can score themselves. Field lacrosse is played with 2 teams with 10 players on the field at any one time. They consist of 1 goaltender, 3 defenders, 3 midfielders, and 3 attackers.
All right, very interesting, right, boys and girls? I don't know how many of you were familiar with lacrosse, but hopefully you will learn a little more about it. So continuing to talk about the rules. So let me change this and make it a little bit larger. So the differences between men's and women's lacrosse, there's a few differences. Number one, the protective equipment. As you can see, the men, they wear helmets, and the reason for that is body checking is only allowed in the men's game. As you can see, the women, they have protective goggles, and their sticks are different also. The men, their sticks have deep pockets, and for the women, that's not allowed. Okay. Also, the number of players. There are 12 players in the women's game and only 10 in the men's game. And the field is larger for the women's game because there are more players. So let's talk about the history of lacrosse. So it is the oldest organized sport in North America, and it originated with the indigenous peoples of North America, especially in upstate New York and parts of Canada. So that's where lacrosse comes from. And it comes from a sport called stickball. So they didn't used to play lacrosse like it's played now. So they played a version of lacrosse called stickball. So stickball games, they were used to keep the peace and to settle arguments between tribes. And these games were giant games. So anywhere from 100 to 1,000 men will play in the same field. And the games would take all day long, from sun up to sundown. So you can imagine how fun that was. I'm going to show you a painting in the next slide that illustrates those games. And the goals will be very far apart, anywhere from 500 yards to several miles apart. So that's what it would look like. So as you could see there, let me illustrate where the goals are because it's kind of hard to see. But there's a goal right here. So the goals were basically sticks. Kind of looks like a football goal, right? So there's one over here, and there's a lot of men playing at the same time, right? And the village, you can see the villagers here watching the game. So I'm sure that was a very important event for Native Americans. So continuing to talk about the rules. So the rules of stickball, they were very simple. So the ball could not be touched by a player's hand, and there were no boundaries, no out of bounds, right? The equipment, the original game balls were made of wood, and then later on they switched it to deer skin and cloth. So very different from the equipment that's used today. The sticks were basically giant wooden spoons with no netting, right? All right, so next I'm going to share a demonstration with you guys on lacrosse, some of the skills that you need in order to play lacrosse. So this video is very short, and it's going to give you an idea of what you need to do in lacrosse. So here we go. All right.
Hi, boys and girls. Now that you learned a little bit about lacrosse, I wanted to give you a brief demonstration on a few of the skills that you need in order to play lacrosse, and we're going to talk about the equipment. So starting off with the stick. So this is what the lacrosse stick looks like. This stick is a little bit smaller. It's for kids. So it looks a little bit different, but it's basically the same stick. So there's a couple parts of the stick. This is the head right here, the head of the stick. And this is the pocket. It has this little netting, and that's what holds the ball in place, right? So when you're playing, you're keeping the ball in here, okay? So it stays secure. So when you play, as you saw in the video, there's a few ways of moving the ball around when your team has the ball, right? So one is called cradling. By the way, to hold the stick, you are going to hold it just like this. So if you're right-handed like me, your right hand goes a little bit under the head and your left hand goes like this. And from this position right here, you can cradle the ball. You can keep the ball right here and run with it. You can pass or you can shoot, okay? So cradling first. So cradling means you are running with the ball. So you have the ball in the pocket here, it stays right there, and you can run with it until you get a shot, or you can pass the ball to a teammate, right? When somebody passes the ball to you, you can catch it just like that. So the ball comes to you and you catch it using the cradling. If it hits the ground and you catch it, that's still okay. You can hit the ground, okay? And then let's talk about shooting. So shooting is when you're trying to score a goal. That's the objective of the game, right? So when you shoot, you are trying to aim at the goal, and you're going to shoot like this. You can shoot high, you can shoot low. You're trying to get the ball past the goalie, kind of like soccer or hockey, right? So once again, another example of shooting. You have it up here, and you shoot like that, okay? So I hope you guys enjoyed the demonstration. I hope you enjoyed learning more about the really exciting sport of lacrosse, and I'll talk to you guys later.
All right, boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed the presentation. I hope you learned more about the exciting sport of lacrosse. I will be staying for the Q&A, so if you have any questions about lacrosse, I'll try as best as I can to answer your questions. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
So I hope you enjoyed that. Actually, I just wanted to give you a little tidbit. Our EVP on our PTA board, Crystal Mosler, I heard she's an outstanding lacrosse player. I think she may have even played in college and high school. And so not only Mr. Almeida, but if you ever have any questions about lacrosse, I would check in with Crystal to see how to play and how it goes. So hope you enjoyed that. Thanks, Mr. Almeida. We'll see you in a minute for a Q&A. And going on with our creation story. So when we were thinking about or researching and thinking about what to share with you, we came across the concept that many Native American peoples actually create stories of how they got here, how the earth was formed. And so I wanted to share a couple of things with you about that. First, this slide here says that many Native American peoples share a belief that they emerged from earth. For the Hopi, which is another Native American tribe and other Pueblo peoples, they believe they emerged to meet the caretaker. They emerged, after they emerged, they meet the caretaker of the earth, who instructs them to honor Mother Earth by taking care of her. So I know that during our school year and even me at home, we talk a lot about taking care of the earth. As a matter of fact, in April, we even celebrate Earth Day. You know, that's an opportunity for us to really think about the land that we're on, to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to take care of ourselves. In our garden, we learn how to nourish the earth and make sure it grows food for us. We have recycle bins on our campus. When we return, you'll see those, and many of you probably have those in your homes. That, you know, that's all a part of taking care of the earth as well. But a lot of the stories of our Native people are really about them, their connection to, and them taking care of the earth that we the land that we're in. So I wanted to share a creation story from the Hopi with you.
Sinom asmoti at kaveye siwa. Putnawa sinom omi katihepia. Haki masawe au iki pa masaw yan matiwa. Masaw amumi pangkaw itit ko happy makiwa. Sinom happy itit squad au past nat yaw yung ni. Tuwa na sabi yep mga mas kaya yota. Ni kyang nanan iwok nan kusani. Pan ititsquat ang nenengam kuktotani. Pan tewa na sabit au ikini.
In their origin story, after they emerge from the earth, the Pueblo are given a sacred quest. Find the center place.
So some clans went clockwise and some clans went counterclockwise. And as the clans migrated, they placed an insignia where they were at that particular time and place, which is a spiral.
Ove au hima mataktini masau kita. Pan naptani tewana sabe ike. Pam mi mataktik pang happy yesvani. Yep happy I tewana sabi.
Chaco was a place where people came together from vast distances.
Chaco was a culmination of many years of learning and knowledge and perfecting their ceremonies.
People share knowledge and beliefs based on thousands of years of observing their world. Ceremonies to influence the very forces of nature. They are still practiced today.
So I hope you enjoyed that. And when I think about that, I think how old the earth is and how some of those traditions that we just saw that are still in place today. And I'd be interested in hearing from you all. The chat is open for those of you who are willing. I'm interested in hearing and having you chat and put in, like, first of all, how do you take care of the earth? How do you honor Mother Earth like the Hopi did? What are some of the things that you do in your family or at school or in your day-to-day when we're at school to take care of the earth? And also, if there are any traditions and things that you have in your family that have lasted, anything that you know about that have lasted for a long time, that come from generations and generations. I'm interested in you sharing in the chat with us as we watch this next segment of another creation story, which actually takes us back to the Tongva people. Again, the Tongva tribe was here in the Los Angeles area, and their land extended pretty far, the mountains down to Catalina Island, I think all the way to San Bernardino, and then to the ocean on the west. So these next stories will be about the Tongva people. And this first one, this little animation illustrates the creation of the land of Catalina Island. I don't know if anyone has been there or has visited or knows where that is south of us, but this story is about how that island came to be, as well as the creation of Kemet, which the Tongva people provide that name for the sun.
Momarahiko pararahamino, Momarahiko pararahamino, pararahamino, pararahamin, pararahamino, pararahamin. Momarahiko pararahamino, Momarahiko pararahamino, pararahamino, pararahamin, pararahamino, pararahamin. Momarahiko pararahamino. Momarahiko pararahamino. Pararahamino. Pararahamin. Pararahamino. Pararahamin. Woo!
One of the things that I really enjoyed as we were putting this night together for you all was just hearing the different languages from the different tribes that we were researching, and the music and everything that they use to communicate and celebrate. And it reminds me of how rich our campus is at Twain. At the last family night, we learned that there were over 16 home languages identified amongst our families at our school. Maybe more than that, but we have a lot of diversity in the languages that we speak in our home language. And just hearing the songs and the language of another just really interesting. We are the home of the immersion program, and it's really interesting to sort of learn about other languages. Next up, continuing on with the story of the Tongva people, is a story, Wa'aka, the bird who fell in love with the sun. It connects to the animation that we just saw. The person who did that animation also illustrated this book. And our guest reader this time is our own superintendent of LESD, Dr. Betsy.
Hello, River Rafters. My name is Betsy Hamilton. I'm the superintendent of the Lawndale Elementary School District, and I'm here to read you a book today called Wa'aka, the bird who fell in love with the sun. This page tells about the book. Wa'aka is a telling of a creation story from the Tongva who have lived in Southern California for thousands of years. It takes place on the island of Pimu, just off the Southern California coast. So that's what this book is about. Wa'aka was born when the earth was soft and the waters were new. It was the beginning of time. One day, Wiyot, our creator, sat at the edge of the quiet, empty world. He felt very lonely. He thought, I need to fill this place. Wiyot had many powers and could do many things. He took sand in his hand and he blew it to the 4 directions. The grains of sand touched the earth and they turned into leaves. Plants began to grow. The first plant was a giant tree full of acorns. Ehi, said Wiyot, your name will be oak, and your fruit will feed all. Here's the acorns from the oak tree. The second was a smaller tree with leaves of gray and silver. Wiyot named this tree White Sage. You will be medicine that all might use for good, Wiyot said with respect. The third tree had branches that kissed the earth when the wind blew. This one Wiyot named Willow. Shaksat will shelter all from cold, he said. The best plant, golden as the sun, brought beauty to the world. Wiyot named it Island Poppy. Wiyot watched with joy as his magic came alive. But Wiyot did more. He dipped his hands into the ocean and mixed red earth with the water. Then the winged ones came. The winged ones, the ones with wings. Owl came first, for she saw in the dark when no one else could. Then came Kingfisher, who promised to be honest and loyal to Wiyot. Raven came next, dark and noble, and a good listener. Last was Wa'aka, sleek and beautiful. Her white feathers glowed like pearls in sand. and she became Wiyot's favorite. Yet even with these creations, the earth was still cold and dark. So Wiyot asked Island Poppy for light. Island Poppy pulled a petal from her crown, and a spark of gold flashed in the dark. Wiyot mixed the petal with a ball of soil. As he rolled in his hand, it grew larger than all the other creations. Tamet, the sun, was born. Tamet shone the brightest of them all, and he was kind and caring to everyone. He and Wa'aka became friends. One day, Tarnet and Wa'aka went walking and found a pond. As they sat at the edge, Tarnet gazed at Wa'aka. He was falling in love with her. But she didn't notice him. She was too busy looking at herself in the water. She thought, oh, how beautiful I am, more beautiful than anyone else. Each day, Wa'aka made Tamet come to the water so she could admire her own beauty. Soon she forgot about everyone else. She even refused to work. I can't go pick acorns, she'd say. I might dirty my beautiful white feathers. The others saw these changes. They also saw a change in Tamet. He was growing larger and rounder and hotter, so hot that the water dried up, and so did the leaves on the trees. Wiyot and Tamet went to their council to talk about this problem, as this was the way it was done back then. If we don't do something, the council said to Tamet, we'll all die from your heat. We have to send you up to the sky. Then you can still be with us, but you will not harm us. It made Tamet sad to think about leaving, but he also felt for his brothers and sisters. I must travel to the heavens, but how? Owl, full of wisdom, said, let's weave a net out of fibers from the plants. Then we can gather around the net and toss Tarnet into the heavens. They all agreed, except for Wa'aka. She shouted, how can you take him from me? Without him near, how will I see my beauty? He is mine. The others cried out, Wa'aka, what has happened to you? You were once so beautiful, but your vanity has made you ugly. And Wiyot said to Wa'aka, you must help your brothers and sisters, not hurt them. Tamet will go. But Wa'aka did not want to give up Tamet, so she made a secret plan. The next day, everyone gathered by the water. They each held part of the net they had woven, and they placed Tamet in the center. Wa'aka pretended to help, but she would not let Tamet go. She would hold on to him as he was tossed into the sky. Then, she thought, I will always be with him, and everyone will see me in his great light forever. That will show them. They tossed Tamet up, and he flew to one side of the sky and came back down. They tried again, and this time Tamet flew to the center of the sky before he fell to earth. The third time, they put more strength into it. Heaving him high, he floated for a moment, then fell once more. They kept going, lifting with all their might, tossing Tamet high above them. As they lifted the net one last time, Wa'aka held on to Tamet and they rose together. But as they entered the heavens, Tamet grew much larger than he had been on earth. It was too hot for Wa'aka. She fell from the sky. Her beautiful white feathers burned black. The others looked up, amazed. Not only did Tamet stay in the sky, but the net that carried him turned into 1,000,000 stars that gave even more light and warmth. And that is the end. Here's a beautiful illustration. And, oops, not quite the end. They were pleased, but not with Wa'aka. Wiyot turned to her and said, because you were selfish, you will not see the light of Tamet. You will sleep by day, and only by night can you come out, so that Grandmother Moon can watch over you. To this day, we can see the dark feathers of Wa'aka as she sits upon the waters at night, waiting for the light of Grandmother Moon so she may gaze at herself. She's lost her big white wings. This is the only light she will ever know. She is the black-crowned night heron. Well, I hope you liked this story. And I love this story. I haven't read it before, but I love herons. And I have never seen a black-crowned night heron, but I've seen many herons. The great heron, I used to live in a place where the heron is plentiful, where there are many herons. So I'm going to share with you about the author. The author, Cindy Albitre, is a mother and grandmother, and she has been an educator, an artist, activist for over 3 decades. She is a descendant of the original inhabitants of Los Angeles and Orange counties. That means her ancestors, she comes from ancestors who were native to this area. And in 1985, she and Lorene Sisquok co-founded Mother Earth Clan, a collection of Indian women who created a model for cultural and environmental education. And the illustrator is named Carly Lake. I hope you enjoyed this book. I enjoyed it very much, and I enjoyed reading it to you. And I hope you check it out from the library, and have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Dr. Hamilton, and you will be joining us in a Q&A session. So we look forward to hearing from you. And if you have questions, we can bring them up then from the audience. So moving on, I just want to share a few books. So Dr. Hamilton mentioned the library. Our LA County Library has a wonderful selection of books for Native American heritage that are available. So these were a few that were sort of prominently displayed on the website. So the library is open for us to pick up books and get them. So hopefully everyone is taking advantage of that. And then I wanted to share this book. This book, Duck for Turkey Day, came about because a few of us on a PTA, as we were discussing Thanksgiving and the Thanksgiving break coming up, I mentioned that I learned through conversation with other parents that not everyone eats turkey for Thanksgiving. You know, we were talking about the different types of foods that families might eat, and it ranged anywhere from traditional, maybe traditional would be turkey that we see in pictures and things, but it could be something like hamburgers and hot dogs, or some other food that was traditional in their culture. So this book is also available from the library. We're not going to read it, but I just wanted to read this expert. It says, it's almost Thanksgiving, and Juliet is excited about the holiday and the vacation from school. So that's coming up from us. There's just one problem. Her Vietnamese American family is having duck for Thanksgiving dinner, not turkey. Nobody has duck for Thanksgiving. What will her teacher and the other kids think? So I just wanted, you know, our families to know, and especially our students at Twain that people do eat different things for Thanksgiving. And a lot of it is just about the foods that are important or traditional for your family and your culture. And there's nothing wrong with not having turkey on Thanksgiving. So I'm sure that the moment is really about coming together as family and even sort of giving thanks if you participate in Thanksgiving at all. Just wanted to share that that book is one that you consider checking out. And also our library program, the district library program, has had a series of really great lunchtime reads. And this Wednesday, there's a guest speaker from the Shoshone Medish tribe that will be available. So you're able to join that. I hope you do. If you've just want to learn a little bit more about Native American heritage, there's another program for you. And so as we transition out of Native American heritage, I wanted to share that I learned that the Native American population actually enlists in the military or is involved in the military 5 times the rate of any other population. So, you know, we may not think about Native Americans being a part of our military, but they have been a part of the military since the beginning of our country, dating us back as far as the Revolutionary War. So last week, the Native American veterans were honored with a memorial in Washington, D.C. at the Smithsonian, and it honors their military service and sacrifice of the veterans and their families. So again, I said at the beginning, I know this night feels like it may seem like an odd mix of placing Native American heritage and military families together, but we've learned that there is very much overlap. And so we hope we can honor both Native Americans and military service in this one night as we've done. So as we move on to Military Families Month, I just want to share one more little video with you, just showing the types of families that we have at our school, our military families. So like I said, we have many military families on our campus, and we have one here that is going to share about them and actually read a book for us to close out our program. So.
Hi, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Jim Horn in the United States Space Force, and this is my family.
I'm Noah, an 8th grader at Will Rogers Middle School.
I'm Eliana, a 5th grader, and I'm being homeschooled this year. I'm Asher, a 3rd grader at Mark Twain Elementary School.
And I'm Emily, or Mrs. Horn, a substitute teacher at Mark Twain.
We've been in the military for over 20 years, at least some of us. And I've lived in states all the way from Colorado Springs, Colorado, where I went to the Air Force Academy, to Massachusetts, Mississippi, Michigan, California, Montana, and Washington, D.C. We've been a lot of different places, and we've moved many different times. The cool thing is we've gotten to see a lot of the country and really, really neat things. But sometimes moving can be a hardship.
Tonight, we hope you enjoy our story, Night Catch, about a military family that is separated due to a deployment.
Night Catch by Brenda Ehrmantraut, illustrated by Vicki Wehrman.
A soldier hugged his son goodbye and said, "I'll miss you, little guy."
I think I figured out a way to play a game of catch each day. The boy, in questioning surprise, looked up into his father's eyes. Not ball as usual in the park, but something special after dark.
The dad continued with his plan. Think of this, my little man. The world is big and round and wide. I'm going to the other side.
Earth spins to face the blazing sun.
then spin some more till day is done. So when one side is hushed with night, the other side is bathed in light.
Because my night will be your day, we can play our game this way. Before you climb in bed each night, find Polaris shining bright.
Breathe in deep, then blow out hard to send that North Star sailing far. Then close your eyes and have sweet dreams of playing catch amid moonbeams. The star will travel all the night while you are sleeping, tucked in tight.
I'll work while waiting patiently for that North Star to come to me. Then as you open up your eyes, I'll spot it in my darkening skies.
I'll catch that star with a grand salute on my end of its nightly route.
Then I'll toss it back when the day is done, after counting down 3, 2, 1.
Back and forth our star will fly, racing through the nighttime sky. Then when I'm finished working there, I'll blow a final puff of air. I'll board the plane and ask the crew to race that star right back to you.
The end.
Sorry, I was muted. I was saying thank you to the Horn family. I really appreciate their taking the time to record that family reading together. It's really good to, if you have the opportunity to read stories as a family, but they moved around a lot and but have seen a lot. And I think it's wonderful to sort of hear from them and hear their story. I really appreciate you joining us. So I did mention or show earlier that we have many of our families, our military families at our school. Last year and in years past, we have a Veterans Day assembly where we invite in family members of our students who are veterans. And they come in and we do a program, the kids sing songs, and then there's refreshments afterwards. And this is a picture of that assembly last year that of course we'll get back to as soon as we're back on campus. But we are so appreciative of our military families and thank them for their service every year, even this year. And we put together a wonderful slideshow to sort of commemorate their service and honoring them. So I know that we have a few family members who were just shown in that Veterans Day video, and we thank you for joining, for those of us who were able to join and let us get a chance to honor you and celebrate you in that Veterans Day video. Thank you for joining. And that takes us to our Q&A portion. We hope that some of you have some really great questions out there for our panelists. I'll invite them on. And also don't forget to stay till the end, because we will have an opportunity drawing where we'll give away some Twain gear and even a couple of the books that we read this evening. So don't go away, but let me bring up our panelists for our Q&A. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, everyone. So I know we had some questions in the chat or some comments in the chat, but I'm also going to just check out our Q&A panel. I don't see anything there now, but we'll hold and give everyone a chance to ask questions if we had to. But I will start for just our panelists. We asked a question about Earth Day and about taking care of the Earth, and we saw from the Hopi and people that they were charged with taking care of the Earth. So just how do you do that in the course of the day, or how do you help take care of the Earth? We'll start with Mrs. Gonzalez.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I just want to, I know we're running out of time, but I really just want to thank our River Rafters for being here with us. I know that we miss being together. I want to personally thank our PTA president. She didn't introduce herself, but it's Nick. So she's our PTA president, along with our Vice President, Krista Mosler. So she joined us this school year, and we're very thankful that they're going to be hosting every month a combination of topics. And obviously a special thank you to Dr. Hamilton, our superintendent, Mr. Almeida, our PE teacher, Gloria de Jesus, who's been translating for our families, and everyone else behind the scenes. I just want to say thank you. But I want to read and agree with some of the things that our students were saying. And definitely they were saying, they do beach cleanup, which is something that I enjoy doing, recycling as well. And then someone from Atlanta joining us, just beautifying their school. So I personally definitely miss our beautification days at Mark Twain. And that's something that I really look forward to when we come back on campus.
Thank you. Dr. Hamilton, you read the book and you talked about the heron. Was there any other things came to mind from that book or about the earth and taking care of the earth?
Yeah, I've been trying to take care of the earth since I can remember. I became, I'm older, so there was a whole environmental movement when I was a teenager and young adult, and so recycling was a huge thing then, and reduction of water use, just taking care of all the earth's resources and respecting the earth, and respecting each other is a big part of my philosophy of how to take care of the earth. And then the herons that I saw regularly were in the Santa Cruz area, with there's a Monterey Bay, which is a sanctuary for all marine life, and there are lots of birds in that area. So that was a beautiful story. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to read and to be part of this evening.
Great. I did see a question that did come up from our one of our students, I believe. It says, if you are mixed racially, are you considered a Native American? Like if your mom is a Native American and dad is Italian. Does anyone want to answer that one? Anyone have thoughts on that one?
I think every person gets to decide how they identify, and sometimes it's not just your lineage or your ancestors, but the culture that you identify with and cultural practices that make you feel a part of something. That would be my answer. My children have a parent who, I'm white, Anglo, and they have their dad is, my husband is Latino, and they have some cultural practices from each of our traditions.
Thank you. See, there any more? That's the only question that we had. Anything else from our chat? I don't see anything else from our chat. This is an opportunity for if our students or even families have questions or things that they want to pose. We just wanted the opportunity to ask them and address them. I don't see anything else. Mr. Almeida, I just want to thank you for your video and for letting us hear about lacrosse. I know that students are really enjoying as much as we can PE through the screens and being active. And I know that you're helping us plan maybe a family fitness night that we're going to do the beginning of the year. Yeah, so we'll have some more activities where families can join in all together and sort of be a part of our family fitness night. So, you know, you'll be a part of that, and we'll have you back on again in January, I believe.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for the invitation to be a part of this. And it was interesting researching the history of lacrosse. I was not aware of much of the history of lacrosse, so it was interesting on a personal level to get to know more about that. So yeah, that was very interesting. So thank you for inviting me.
Yes. And I did see one thing in the chat. It says, we enjoyed a picture book called When We Are Kind by Monique Grace Smith that mentions taking only what we need from the earth. It's written in English and Navajo. So that is really great. I honestly, I really did enjoy listening to the different languages as we were, there's a lot of language preservation going on with the Native American and even sort of transcripting things to sort of document their presence here. So we are on indigenous land. There were people here before we came here, for the country was formed, the United States. So that land has a lot of stories, and those stories are still being documented. So, you know, I really encourage everyone we do have Native American families on our campus. And so when we do these family nights, we intend on celebrating all families, whether or not they're able to participate in the family night. So I hope that, you know, all of you who are tuning in, that you see yourselves through the night, through the nights that we're doing. And if not, let us know. We'd love to pull you in and share your family story too. So with that, if there's not anything else, Ms. Gonzalez, you look like you're
just before I close, you have to do my commercial. I just want to say thank you again. You know, River Rafters, thank you for being with us and families and our panelists. You do know that Friday is our last day before our Thanksgiving break, and some of you are stopping by and picking up a couple of items. So I can't wait to see you. And on Wednesday as well, pick up our lunches. And then Friday, River Raptors who have been practicing Zoras, I can't wait to see you. Pick up your PTA sponsored hot chocolate that's prepackaged, along with if you're walking on campus and if you see those turkeys anywhere, please take a picture and send them to either our PTA email or Jocelyn Rivera. And I just want to thank our families for being with us and supporting our PTA. December, next Friday, the 8th, I believe, will be our next PTA family event honoring special education. So stay tuned, and thank you for joining us.
Yes, yes. And Dr. Hamilton, thank you. Mrs. Gonzalez, thank you. And Mr. Almeida, thank you. And all of those who actually participated and provided content for us for tonight, we thank you. And we look forward to seeing you next month.
Thank you very much.
Everyone, good night.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.